Dominant second half by the Chargers today, guys. They end up outscoring the Raiders 24-7. I understand that Las Vegas isn't the best team in the world, but the blueprint should be the same against everyone. Is the Chargers, they're just so much better when they run the ball. And I know it's easier said than done with how this offensive line's played this season, of course. I mean, they're missing their top two tackles in Slater and Alt. Becton hasn't really lived up to what he was paid to be. But in this game, the Chargers showed just how dangerous they are when they can get a run game going. Kamani Vidola, of course, 25 for 126, had a 59-yard run. And then backup running back Jarrett Patterson had a 22-yard run, the longest of his young career. So the Chargers were explosive on the ground. They ended up rushing it 43 times. Now, the first half was a tie game, and then after that, it was all Chargers. So obviously, they had the ability to run. If you're playing from behind, then you have to throw. And that's just the thing about the Chargers is they have such an elite defense to the point where as long as they could just keep the game within reach, they have a massive advantage. And that's what we saw in full display in this one is the Chargers, they got to Geno Smith and they ended up, of course, forcing an interception off of him, which was Tony Jefferson had that crazy, it was like a deflection, and he was able to dive on top of it before getting out of bounds. And then they also got to Geno Smith 5 times. So that's a loss of 40 yards alone right there. Jenny, 15 for 31. When the defense is playing this well, it just gives you a chance to win. And eventually in that second half, the Chargers offense started to get going. Now, this is a team that, of course, in this game had multiple fourth and short opportunities that they weren't able to convert. And a lot of that is just, it's two things. It's the offensive line, again, hasn't really played that well. And then it's also, well, no Najee Harris and no Amari Hampton. That was supposed to be a 1A, 1B demon type of punch. And it never got to really see the field much together is kind of the problem here. But these backup backs have stepped in and they've been great. And I imagine Hampton will be back next week, so the run game is going to get even better. But Ladd McConkey, 4 for 39 and a touchdown. Kind of a quiet game for Ladd, but he had a big catch. Not really a big catch, but he had a catch to, of course, move the chains late in this game to kind of ice it. Trey Harris, 3 for 30, had that touch pass. I'd like to see the Chargers get Harris more reps. I mean, I get that there's a lot of weapons on this team, but I think Trey Harris has the potential to be a very good NFL receiver. And we kind of saw that on display in this game as he's just an athlete. And with his size and speed, he's just tough to bring down, especially in the open field. Keenan Allen, 4 for 30, Mr. Reliable. Of course, the most receptions in Charger history past Antonio Gates a couple of weeks ago. And speaking of a couple of weeks ago, I haven't made a Charger video in over 2 weeks, which is kind of insane. Not that anyone probably cares, but the Jacksonville Jaguars game, that was the first time in my life I've ever turned off a Charger game early. It's like 8 minutes left. It was bad to say the least, especially given what happened in that building the last time these two teams have played in Duval. I mean, that epic, well, if you're not really epic for us, but horrific second half collapse against the Jags, man, I'll never forget that. I was actually in a hotel room watching that game. But I digress. Gadsden had a catch for 27 yards, was able to just get up, of course, in the seam, and Herbert was able to find him. Now, Herbert did have an interception on the goal line, which he'd like to have back, try to fit a ball to McConkey on that left side, and Herbert just trusted his arm a little bit too much there. Trey Lance, 1 for 9. You're probably wondering, Trey Lance was in the game. Herbert injured his left hand, had a glove on it. But he ended up being okay and coming back in the game. Defensively speaking, Denzel Perryman flew around the field, dude. He made play after play. Tuli, Tuipulotu, and Kulomek also applied a lot of pressure. Tuli had 2 sacks. Mack was credited for half a sack. They were just in the backfield the entire game, whether it was a tackle for a loss. Tuli had 4 of them, or it was a sack. I mean, 2 sacks and 4 tackles for a loss, that's incredible to think about. Like, Max Crosby had 2 sacks and 4 tackles for a loss, and we know what Max Crosby's capable of doing. So that's just how good Tuli has been this season. And he's just been the consistent guy. Mac was on the IR. Remember, he got hurt. So Tuli, he's just stepped in and he's gotten it done. Kim Hart, I thought had a good game. Igboigbe, I thought had a good game. Tony Jefferson had an interception. It was just one of those defensive games where the Chargers, they just completely dominated. There's no other way around it. Yeah, I knew the Raiders were going to get a couple of touchdowns. They've got Ashton Jennings and Brock Bowers. They were going to score. But relatively speaking, throughout the game, the Chargers were able to keep them in check. And this game just never really felt competitive, if I'm being honest. Like the first half, the Chargers, again, 4th and short twice, and they don't pick it up. Justin Herbert, actually, was it 1 or 2? Sorry, I'm recording this like at 10 p.m. But they had a couple of 4th downs they didn't get, and then Herbert had that interception on the goal line. So it just caused them mistakes. Shooting yourself in the foot definitely is a problem. It has been a problem for the Chargers this season. But again, when they just run the ball and they're in 3rd and shorts, they're pretty much impossible to be able to stop because Herbert, you don't know if he's throwing or running. And all of a sudden, you bite on that run fake, and now Herbert again has a clean pocket and he's scanning the field. I mean, you just have no chance at that point. So protecting Herbert and running the ball, I mean, that's something that the Chargers just have not been able to do in the Herbert era. But we've seen when they are able to do that, again, they just don't lose. Like even last season with J.K. Dobbins when he was healthy, the Chargers, they just looked like a completely different football team. Now, with that being said, like this game, yeah, it was. I enjoyed it. It was a good game, good win. But the bigger picture here is the fact that the Chargers had to win this game because now they are 8-4, which ties them with the Colts, and the Colts do have the tiebreaker because they did beat us, of course, weeks ago. The Bills are 8-4, the Texans are 7-5, the Steelers are 6-6. The Ravens jump back into first place with the Bills beating them. Of course, the Steelers. Jags are 8-4. Colts and Jags play, so one of them has to lose unless it's a tie. Even if it is a tie, that benefits the Chargers. So Broncos 9-2. The Chargers still have a game against the Broncos. Patriots 10-2. Honestly, I'd say I wish the Chargers played the Patriots this year. I really don't, though. It's kind of, yeah, thank God they don't. Monday is going to be a big game. Talking about Monday, December 8th, at home against the Eagles. It's kind of a perfect situation, right? You get your ass absolutely handed to you by the Jags and Duval, and then you come back and you smoke the Raiders, and then it's, okay, look, all of a sudden, it's going to be an extra day of rest, and you've got the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Eagles on the season are currently 8-4, so I think they're the 2 seed. The Bears are the 1 seed. So they're going to bring it. I mean, this is a defending Super Bowl champions. It's an opportunity for the Chargers to show what they're made of. Hopefully, Marine Hampton's back. I believe he will be. If the Chargers can beat the Eagles, I mean, even if the Chargers can just like compete in this game and be competitive, I mean, I'd be pretty impressed. But I'm not gonna lie, like the Chargers, it almost feels like they kind of have to get this game because the division is still in reach, and you just can't really be losing home games this late in the season. You're just kind of asking for it, and with how close and compact the not even the division, I mean, but it's just the conference. It's like there's teams right behind the Chargers that would love for the Chargers to lose a couple of games. Like, and you're talking about losing to the Eagles, but then you have to go to Arrowhead, and then you have to go to Dallas, who's has just beaten the 2 Super Bowl teams that were in it, and the Cowboys and the Chiefs. And then you got to take on the Houston Texans, who have the best defense in football statistically, and then at Denver, who has like the second best defense. So you really can't afford to be just dropping games because before you know it, for the Chargers, you have 2 losses, and then now you're out of the playoffs, right? Like if the Chargers were to lose 2 games in a row and go to 8-6, well, the Colts. I don't know how the Colts are listed behind them. That doesn't make any sense. But let me see. Win tiebreaker over Buffalo and Indianapolis based on best win percentage in conference games. But how does that make sense if the Colts beat the Chargers? But if this is correct, then the Chargers would go below the Colts and they'd go below the Bills, which would still technically give them a playoff spot with that 7th seed. But the Texans also play the Chargers, and it's kind of asking for a lot. So the bottom line is the Chargers just need to continue to win games, especially at home. I know the Chargers don't have like the best home field advantage, which isn't really their fault.